Hi, my name is Ishmael. Today we're going to be talking about mortgages or cash. Which should you buy with and why? So, the advantages and disadvantages of mortgages over cash. Well, let's start with cash. I mean, you're not likely to have enough money to buy a property for cash, but if you do, should you do it? Well, here's the thing. If you buy a property for cash, £100,000 property, let's use an example, keep the numbers nice and simple. If the property is worth £100,000 and you buy that property for £100,000 cash, then you've put £100,000 in the property, and let's say that the rental income is £500 a month. That means it's £6,000 a year, so you'll get a 6% yield, meaning you'll get a 6% return, assuming there's no maintenance, no bills, and no management fee. Now we'll keep it simple in the examples just so that you can do comparisons, but obviously if you're taking maintenance, management fees and various things, you will get different figures. So you'll get a 6% return on £100,000 cash investment if you buy a property and rent it straight out as a single let. Now, if you go and do the same thing with a mortgage, what will that look like? Well, you'll only need a 25% deposit for the mortgage. So rather than £100,000, you could in theory buy 4 houses, meaning you'll have a total investment of £400,000 with £100,000 down, which means you will get, rather than £500 a month, you'll be getting £2,000 a month income. Now, obviously, you're going to have a mortgage on it. So what's the mortgage likely to look like? Well, the mortgages now are ranging from around about 2.5% if you have a high deposit. So for a 75% loan to value, which is what we're talking about, you are probably looking at around about 3 to 4% depending on your personal circumstances and if it is a limited company or if it's in a personal name. So if it's a limited company or personal name, it makes a difference. So let's use 4% as a return figure or as an interest figure. So if your interest figure is 4% and you've got 4 mortgages, then you are going to be looking at around about £12,000 interest. At 4%, you'll be borrowing £300,000, you'll have a £100,000 deposit, a 25 to 75% loan to value, so you'll be looking at around about £12,000 a year interest. That works out to about £1,000 a month. Therefore, if you've got a 4% interest rate and you have £100,000 with mortgages, you'll be looking at £1,000 for interest every month and you'll be looking at £1,000 in your pocket. So what does that mean? It means on a 4% interest rate, if you're not taking any of the legal expenses, you're not taking any of the management and maintenance fees into account, you will be doubling, you'll be getting £12,000 a year income as opposed to £6,000 a year income if you buy a property for cash. So why would you buy a property for cash? It doesn't make sense if you want to make more money to buy a property for cash if those are the figures. Now obviously, the way it works is that effectively, if you work it out, if you're getting an interest rate of 4% and the actual property is producing a 6% yield, then you're effectively making 2% on the 4%, and then you're making 6% on your other percentage. So as long as the interest rate is at least 1 or 2% lower than the yield of the property, you're better off putting a mortgage on it. Now I would say that you make sure that the yield of the property is high enough that if the mortgage defaults to its percentage, which is normally around about 5.5% at the moment, then you will still be making money. So if you've got a 6% yield, the mortgage defaults with 5.5% and for some reason you can't remortgage it and you have to stick on that rate, then you know that you're still making a tiny little profit on the mortgage, which means you're still better off having that mortgage than not having a mortgage. So overall, as far as I'm concerned, it's always better to mortgage a property, whether it is a cheap property or a more expensive property, as long as the yields are higher than the mortgage interest payment. And I would say the yield should be at least 2% above the mortgage interest rate. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, whack that bell notification icon to get notified of videos coming out each and every week. Great tips, great ideas about how to make your money go further and get more profit from the same investment.